Hey y'all, my name is Hannah and welcome back to my channel. Today I was going to talk about just some books that I find like comforting. So I guess my comfort books, because I know right now it is some scary times with where we're at in the world. I know I tend to turn to reading as like an escape from everything that can be super anxiety inducing and just to get away from the world. And right now I am at home for the next couple weeks. My job has closed, so I found myself with a lot of extra free time on my hands. So I was just going to talk about some of the books that I find myself gravitating towards. Like, I know I've got this stack of books right here, but I know I find myself tending to go for something other than what I'm currently reading. If y'all know me, well, I guess this is my second video, so you don't really know yet. I tend to read like 10 books at a time because my brain is so scattered that I'll read 50 pages of one book and then hop right in and read another 150 pages of another book. So I'm always like constantly flip-flopping back and forth, usually like reading a main two and then just keeping others like on the back burner is just something like I can go to when I'm burnt out on something. But I was just going to talk about some books that I find myself gravitating to when I feel anxious and just want to take a step back and like not think too hard about a lot of stuff. Alright, so the first book I'm going to talk about, it's pretty easy to guess, which is Harry Potter. Honestly, I picked up Sorcerer's Stone, but any of the Harry Potter books are something that I hold near and dear to my heart. Like I talked about in my last video, if by some reason you do not know what Harry Potter is, it's about a boy who finds out he is a wizard and gets whisked into this magical world where things aren't as cheery and peachy as he might would have hoped. This is one of 4 copies of the first Harry Potter book that I own. I've got a paperback set, I've got my hardback trunk set, I'm working on the illustrated editions and the 20th anniversary special editions in Slytherin. If y'all don't know, I am a Slytherin. The second book that I am going to talk about today is Looking for Alaska by John Green. This book I read this book a long time ago. The first time I read it, I think I was 15, so 5 years ago, and I absolutely loved this book the first time I read it. I just became obsessed with it. I had it on my Nook, my little e-reader. I took that thing everywhere. I read my Nook version probably 5 times, and then one of my friends got me my paperback copy for my 16th birthday. I've read it a million times. It is still, I think it will forever and always just have like a safe, loved spot in my heart. Even though on my most recent read of it, I understand the criticisms towards this book. They are valid 100%. It's a book I'll always love. I've read, I was going to say every single John Green, but that would be a lie. I haven't read Let It Snow, which was a collab with a couple of other authors, and I haven't read Turtles All the Way Down yet. I own it, but I have not read it yet. I'm afraid that I've grown out of the age range for me to really love and be invested in a John Green book, because most of his main characters tend to be teenagers, and I am no longer a teenager. I'm turning 21 this year. I own it. I will eventually get to reading it because I've loved most of his books. I will probably end up reading it. I don't know, I just have it. The next book in my pile is one that is very, very, very well loved and well worn. It is my copy of Beastly, which Beastly, if you do not know, is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. It is set in New York City, and it was turned into a movie. I took this book everywhere with me. It got slung around in my backpack so much. And as you can tell, like, the pages are soft. It's all floppy now. The cover is bent. But you know what? It still holds up as a good retelling of Beauty and the Beast. I still love it. It's one that it's a quick read. I can read it any time of the day. And I don't, like, there's a lot of books I feel like I have to be in the mood to be reading, and this is not one of those. I can just pick it up whenever and hop right into it, and I love it. Every single time I've reread it, I've loved it. Now, Alex Flynn also has another fairy tale retelling. I've got it up there on my shelf. It is, I believe it's called A Kiss in Time. It is a Sleeping Beauty retelling. I didn't enjoy A Kiss in Time as much as I love Beastly, and it may be because I was older when I read it for the first time, but Alex Flynn's writing, it's lovely. The next book that is on my list of books that I consider to be a comfort book is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. This is about a girl named Katniss. She's 16 years old. She lives in this future dystopian society, which is branded as a utopia, but we all know that there's no such thing as a utopia, especially not in YA. But she lives in a society where there are 12 districts, and every district has to submit a male and a female to participate in this fight for the death. I believe it's the age of 12 to 18, so maybe not all teenagers, but all these kids are put into a bowl to be selected to fight to the death. A televised event to the entire country. 16-year-old Katniss Everdeen volunteers to take the place of her sister in these games. It's a heavy, heavy storyline packed into a YA book, and right now in today's climate, you know, maybe it's not the most comforting book to read, but it is still and will forever always be one of my favorites. I can read this series a million times over and never get tired of it. I really need to get a hardback set of these books because all I have is the paperbacks, and I tend to prefer hardbacks just because I like the way they look all on the shelves. I like to hold paperbacks to read, but hardbacks just look so nice lined up on the shelf. The last book that I have to talk about is technically 3 books. This is the Night World #2, which this is a bind up of 3 different books. Now, honestly, any of the Night World books I love and I can read no matter what. And if you don't know about the Night World, the original series was published in the 90s. Each of these big bind ups, there's 3 of them. They each include 3 different books. This is the second one. It's got Dark Angel, The Chosen, and Soulmate. And if you do not know about these books, which apparently a lot of people don't, I don't see them talked about very much on BookTube. Here's just a little excerpt that's like about the Night World from the back of the book. It says, "Vampires, werewolves, witches, shapeshifters, they live among us without our knowledge. Nightworld is their secret society, a secret society with very strict rules, and falling in love breaks all the laws of the Nightworld." So if you love like a good supernatural romance, you will adore the Nightworld books because it's all based upon this thing called the soulmate principle. And that's all I'm really going to say because anything else could be spoilery, which the book is over 20 years old. I don't know how spoilery I can get for that, but the second one, this is actually the only one that I own out of the 3 bind-ups. My sister, my mom, and I shared and read the same ones when I was younger. I got this one for like $3 at a secondhand store. My mom has all 3 of them. My sister has, I think, the last one. The second one was my favorite, so when I found it for $3, I went ahead and picked it up because it had my favorite story of a girl who is a vampire killer, and her soulmate is a very, very old and high-ranking vampire, which it says that in the description of the book, so I don't feel bad about saying that. No, I will warn you about these books. If you start reading them and you get invested, L.J. Smith never completed the series. There is a final book that everybody knew the title of. I can't remember it off the top of my head now, that she kept saying she was going to release, and she never did. So for the Night World, I just have to get my fill by rereading the series over and over and over again, which I don't really mind. Like I said, this is a list of comfort books, books that I will always turn to, that I can read no matter what. Now, L.J. Smith, she actually wrote The Vampire Diaries, if you are recognizing a name and not sure where it came from. I've actually never read The Vampire Diaries. I read the first one and then couldn't really get into it. I didn't really like it all that much. so I just quit. But I absolutely adore this book. So I might, now that I'm older, I might go back and give the Vampire Diaries another try. My mom loved those books, and me and her tend to have pretty similar tastes in what we read. So I may actually go back and try and reread the Vampire Diaries. I don't know though. Let me know if you think that I should. But that is all the books that I have right now as kind of my list of books that I'm turning to during this crazy period of time that we're in. Yeah, so that went by quicker than I thought it would. I guess that's gonna be it for tonight's video. I say tonight, it is midnight. The rest of my house is asleep. This is the only quiet time I would get to film a video. If you guys enjoyed this video, please don't hesitate to leave a like, comment, subscribe. I will have all my social medias linked down in the description box below. Please don't hesitate to add me on Goodreads, follow me on Instagram, on Twitter. I will love to interact and get to know everybody. Alright, I'll see y'all in the next video. Adios.